When you were in France, did you use NordVPN?
Yes, I did. Actually.
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Wicked. We used it at the airport because we wanted to watch the tennis, and we couldn't because we were in Germany, and it wasn't allowed. Sky was on the old app. Were like, you're in the wrong country. So I just logged into VPN, told it I was in the UK. Bam, we're watching tennis.
Yep. Did it for the cricket as well.
Excellent.
Looked at the cricket.
Yeah.
Went on Sky Sports, and that was good.
Yeah, working out very nicely. Welcome to the podcast. As you can see, we are recording once again without Peter Finch. Before we get into the podcast episode, just want to talk to you about today's sponsor, which is NordVPN. As you can tell, we have been using it quite a lot recently. Basically, me and Kieran haven't been home for the last 3 or 4 days. But it was very useful when we were away in Germany because it meant that all of the sport that was happening all over the world that we couldn't access,
which is a lot.
Which was a lot.
It all seems to all be going on at the moment, doesn't it?
Was all entirely accessible very safely using the fastest VPN in the world on our one team account, which then is available to 10 different devices. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's lots of people on that one account, which is great. It was all possible. So there was cricket.
Tennis.
Something else as well. F1.
The Grand Prix was on. There were 2 golf tournaments happening simultaneously. 3. There was the Women's Open
in Ireland.
Yeah. All of that was available because we have VPN, and you should also have NordVPN as well because it allows you to do all that stuff very safely, very quickly,
very cheaply
also, which is excellent. So to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/roughcut, where our link will give you 4 extra months on a 2-year plan. 2 years is how many months?
24.
How many is 4 months more than that?
26.
Very good.
It's 28, but thank you so much.
Oh yeah.
Your maths.
Yeah.
All right.
Your maths
Your
maths is not good, but at least you are using NordVPN to keep yourself safe on the internet. You also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast description. Go and do it. We use it. You should all be using it as well. Let's start the episode.
Sometimes golf is a pain in the butt. You hit your ball in the trees and then you lip out the putt. But if you've got a little time, then come and spend it with us. 'Cause now you're listening to
Hello, and welcome down to the Rough Cut Golf Podcast. And I kind of hate doing that because that feels like Pete's way of like introducing it.
Yeah,
I feel like we need to come up with our own like creative ways of.
What way would you do it? Okay, so imagine the music has just played again.
I don't put me on the spot with this.
Think of a new way to intro the podcast, and we're each going to do them.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Howdy. I don't know.
All right, Woody.
I just started off. All right, lads, how are we getting on?
There we go.
Yeah.
That's better.
I kind of also kind of like the cold open.
Or just not talking to each other.
No. Obviously not that cold, but like, just beginning as like the music fades up and we're already talking.
going. Oh, you know I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, Jacob
I do like that.
Is obsessed with a podcast. Does that podcast even exist anymore?
They don't do it anymore.
Yeah, he was obsessed with the Always Sunny podcast where basically they would just press record while they were mid-conversation. People would still be arriving.
Someone might be tinkering on the piano and just like, I loved it.
Yeah.
It was authentic. It just felt like you were coming into the room with them,
Yeah, the golf, the golf one, the football one, the Gary Neville, what's it called? Overlap.
Yeah.
The overlap kind of does that, where they all arrive
They're sort of
and they're kind of
coming
getting
in.
in and introducing themselves. That sort of stuff.
I feel like we should be slightly less. Maybe we should make that happen. We should be slightly less rigid when Pete's not here, and we'll just literally press record, chat for an hour, press stop, and put it out.
Just our whimsical conversations
us,
that just
And what we'll do is actually we'll start recording a few minutes before you get here.
Okay, I like
so
that.
that you can walk in and sit down and live your dream.
I was going to say we're probably going to have to leave it like recording and running for quite a while for Pete to walk into the room.
Yes,
because I don't think we're going to see him in about 3 weeks.
It's going to be a long one. Yeah, so let's talk quickly about what I'm calling the 100,000 step week, because we have done last week. I think I just crept over 100,000 steps for the week because we had final qualifying.
On Monday,
On Monday. Then we...
36 holes of a lot of walking.
36 holes of chaos.
Tuesday. That comes after Monday.
Wasn't that on Tuesday?
That was on Tuesday.
That was on Tuesday.
So Wednesday was Bryan Bros filming. We filmed at the BMW Pro-Am in Munich, Eichenrad. Which I can read or I can rad?
I can read.
I can read.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know what? I was really impressed with your German, and then I realised that you got it very slightly wrong.
I can read. That
I
was
can read.
Yeah, that's how they were. That's how they were referencing it. Like
I can read.
I can read. Correct.
Yeah.
But it's I can read.
Yeah, filmed that with the Bryan Bros and Paul Ripke, which was really, really cool.
Yeah, and if you're German, and I know we do have a percentage of German listeners, you will know who Paul Ripke is because he is all over the old German social medias, and he is one of the funniest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
Really?
Chaos.
He's
He's
very
so
cool.
funny. Yeah, really cool.
Very, very cool.
Thursday. Sorry.
That was Wednesday.
That was Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Now
So
Thursday.
we drove from Dundonald basically overnight back to Manchester. We slept for 1 hour. We flew to Germany to film with the Bryan Bros. Then we walked around the golf course all day Thursday.
Yeah.
And then we filmed with Martin Borgmeyer and Cass Marie on Friday. And then we flew home, and then we played in the Club Champs on the weekend.
That's a lot of walking.
Yeah, so I think I did 104,000 steps.
Yeah. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Do you feel slimmer? Do you feel...
No. There's a lot of beer involved.
On Thursday,
Just replenish the calories burned.
the beer on Thursday was it was quite a lot.
There was a lot of champagne.
When in Munich, I guess.
Yeah, there was a lot of champagne, and then there was a lot of beers.
Was there a particular German beer? Or...
Yeah, it was Rip something in it, or Pip something.
Ooh.
Oh man, we should get that. Look it up.
Look at it.
Look it up.
So-
It's a Munich beer.
Clearly, it was that
Okay.
good. You had
Bavarian
enough.
beer.
And we kept seeing
to forget
signs
it.
for it, didn't we? Yeah.
Something Ken. Like,
Munich beer brands.
Pip.
Paulana?
yeah, that's
I think it was
that's
Paulana.
It, that's it. Begin with P.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Very good.
It was really good.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so it basically was just utter no sleep week for us.
Yeah.
However, although we have had a very fresh final qualifying reaction from you, Sam, and David on the day, we haven't had a chance to discuss it amongst ourselves on the podcast because we went straight in the car to go to Manchester to go to Germany. So let's talk very, very quickly about final qualifying, and kind of now that we're a week removed from it, how do we feel that that quest for the Open has gone this year? And then how Pete's reaction to it has changed over the days since, because I think that it definitely has.
Yeah.
Talk me through how it felt on the day, Jacob.
I think I kind of had a sort of similar feeling to how Pete was in the whole thing. Like, I felt like he could have done better. I definitely came away from it thinking he could do it. I think that's my biggest takeaway, was that I didn't watch it and think that there was a massive golfing class between some particular players. I think it just, over the long period of the 36 holes, there was that just ability to keep going and keep going and keep going. And it was just, the video comes out on Thursday. You'll be able to watch all of the shots. And after re-editing it and re-watching it, especially that second round, like if he'd holed a few putts, he could have been 3, 4, 5 under through about 7, 8, 9 holes. Like, he was playing some good golf. He just couldn't putt that day, and sometimes that's just, is all it takes. It was also quite horrible. I was reminiscing from, and I don't think I quite took it in, how Jack Senior was literally there leading the competition, and then after the back 9 was 3, 4 shots off it, which was a shame. It was funny you guys were saying that he just followed you after as well.
Oh my God, yeah. So we walked all 36 holes with him, and then drove straight to Manchester and slept for an hour, went to the airport. In the airport, we were all like hazy-eyed, like haven't touched a coffee, nothing. We've got there at like 4:30. We're chucking the golf bag in the thing, and next to us pulls up Jack Senior, and we're like, "Hey, man!" He's like, "Hey, how's it going?"
He's also really hazy-eyed.
Yeah, we're all very, very rough.
And then Pete.
And then so
Pete sits next to him.
we were sat separate on the plane. Me and Kieran were next to each other, and Pete was down the front somewhere, not in a different class to us.
Yeah.
Just booked his ticket separately.
Lufthansa have separate classes?
I think they had one that was closer.
Yeah, that's like the first, like, sort of, kind of like British Airways as well, the first sort of like 4 or 5 rows are like kind of just have a little curtain.
Yeah, and they get their drinks for free, I think. Yeah,
but it was, that plane was Tour Pro Central. Like, there was so many Tour Pros.
Really
like,
was.
Sat next to, well, you know, me and Mick was sat in one row, and then next to us was the guy that played with George Bryan.
Angel Ayora?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that was
great
pretty cool.
swing.
And his caddy. Yeah, really good swing. And then, obviously Jack Senior and Pete sat together after playing 36 holes the previous day, which was...
Alex Fitzpatrick was on our plane.
Alex Fitzpatrick, honestly, like, it was
all of them
pretty
were
cool.
there.
I guess because he was at West Lancs, wasn't he?
So Jack Senior and Pete were sat next to each other on the plane. And then
which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then he was...
There's a lot of seats on a plane.
And then we went to the golf course, and they were next to each other on the range. Weird.
Yeah.
And then he was at dinner.
Yeah.
And we're staying in the same hotel.
And then he was at breakfast.
Then he was at breakfast. And then on Thursday, when we went into hospitality, as we got into hospitality, he was coming down the 18th. This guy's following us.
Yeah, like we weren't... I don't think we left 100-mile radius that week.
Yeah, he was...
Of Jack Senior.
Yeah.
We're in the senior orbit.
He was the centre of your universe.
He really was. He really was. It was a very interesting one. But Jack Senior, like you're saying, he at one point was in the flaming lead.
Yeah, 6 under, leading the competition, looked solid, was stiffing everything. I think he was 5 under through 12, 13 holes in that second round and just looked really comfortable. But again, just proves it can happen to everyone. And obviously, you know, he's an established tour pro, and whether it was nerves or he knew where he was, you know, there was that scoreboard as you walked past that sort of crossroads to the ninth tee and sort of across. Like,
must have seen it.
I think something, you know, it doesn't. And I think he had an issue as well where he'd been put down for a score that he didn't get. So I think he was actually one more ahead than he should have been. So I think that definitely isn't going to help as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I think again the biggest thing for me is, like, say, for the whole 36 holes, he's playing with Mark Warren and Jack Senior, 2 established tour pros, and at no point did I ever go, oh well, he looks a little bit out of place here. There was moments, obviously, you know, there's probably 4 or 5 swings of the golf club which were the reason why he shot 6 over. And that's where the shots came from. Obviously, on that par 3, he lost 3 shots over the 36 holes. So there's definitely room for improvement. The thing, I suppose, I'm obviously say what I feel, but like, has Peter Finch proved that he's good enough, and could he do it in 26?
I think he's definitely proved he's good enough. I think it comes down to him believing that he's good enough next year, and then whether he even wants to do it again.
Yeah.
I know we quote this regularly, but this is I want to have that conversation with him that happens at the end of Moneyball, where, you know, they do all that great stuff, they don't win the title or whatever, the championship, and the manager's disappointed, and he's like, by the way, what you just did.
You mean the World Series for a competition that only happens in one country? Is that the one you want about?
Yeah,
right. Okay.
It's called the World Series because it was started by a newspaper called the Daily World.
No.
Okay. But yeah, to say to him, look, like, even though you didn't do the thing that you set out to do, what you did was still incredible, and you should be very proud of yourself. And then it comes down to him actually wanting to do it again next year.
I think it was interesting to see what Pete said, and he said that, like, you know, he said there kind of a little bit about his belief to do it. I genuinely think he had belief that he was going to do it. You know, I think he had belief that he was good enough. I think it was this putting, in all honesty. I think that, there was maybe a couple of shots where the second shot into the 8th, which was his 17th, was a bad shot.
Yeah.
And you can see that from him. Just, you know, done so well at positioning himself, and then went left in the worst place that you could have gone, and then not really recovered from it. And also the par 3 15th, which was his like 5th hole as well. 2 bad shots there, but you know, and the putting as well. But you know, he said to us after that he's just really disappointed because, you know, I would have thought going into it, he kind of thought that, like, all right, I've got this far. I'm happy with that, but now, you know, he genuinely thought that he could go for it and go and do it, which was really, really interesting. And yeah, I think that he's just shown how much he's devoted this year. I mean, we've barely seen him.
Yeah.
Carly's barely seen him. So, you know,
Yeah.
it shows the amount of time that he's put into his game, and he's a very, very good player now. And, you know, I definitely think he could do it in 2026.
I agree. I think he's got the game for it. I think, you know, with every step you get, obviously he went into final qualifying with sort of no scar tissue from that event compared to what he would have had in regional, because obviously how many times he's done it. But then, you know, he's now got that reps in of playing in final qualifying. Obviously he still needs to get back there next year if he's going to give himself a chance. But having that experience of what the day's like, he can kind of take something from that. Does he feel that he got fatigued a bit too much over the 36? Does he need to look into that a bit more? But like I say, on the day, editing it back, it just reminded me how much it was just, if some putts fell, it would have been a completely different day. And it wasn't even the birdie putts. It was those 7-footers for par that just keep the momentum going, which he did all day at Coldy. If you think over those first 4 holes, he could have been 2 over, 3 over through 4. But he holed a couple of really good up and downs, really good putts, drained a nice putt to get under par at Coldy. And everything all day with the putter was solid. He felt he looked good. And I spoke to him, and you'll see in the video, and after the first round, he just said, like, I'm reading them, I'm doing my aim point, I'm going through my process. I just can't see it.
Yeah.
I just can't. I'm looking at the putt and I just couldn't see. And there was little intricate breaks and things that I just don't think kind of to his eye he was picking up. And that was the issue. So it's one of them where it's like, do you go away and say, well, go sort your putting out and you're all fine. But then his putting was great at Coldy. You know, it was the thing that got him there in the first place. I think sometimes it's just, you do have to have that. Everything's just got to fall on the day. You've got to have it go right. And unfortunately, the putting was the thing that let him down. I think tee to green, he played pretty well.
Off the tee, I haven't been that confident that he was going to hit the fairway in such a long time, as we have been the last 3 or 4 rounds we've watched him. I'm always thinking, this is going to be a long one. Or, you know, you can tell he's picked up his tee early and you're like, oh, he's feeling confident off the tee.
Yep.
Then the approach shots, you know, it hasn't been great approach recently. We saw that at the PGA Professionals Championship, struggled a little bit with approach. I've always trusted his ability to chip pretty well. The thing that we have done most often is him having those 6 or 7 footers for par, and us kind of, in my brain, I'm thinking, oh, cool, we'll 2-putt this. And then he drains it.
Yeah.
Like that has been happening way more this year than ever before, which means he definitely has been much better at it. I'm now thinking, oh, cool, this is going in. And if it doesn't, I'm surprised instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
So, you're right. He can do all of the stuff. It was about doing all of the stuff, not even like to a brilliant level. If he did all of those things to a good level, and, you know, some things went his way that maybe didn't go his way this time, it could have been so different.
Absolutely.
It was very interesting to watch him, and it was really nice to see Mark and Jack as well, and like compare the games and everything, like, because, you know, Pete was hitting it just as far as Mark, and, you know, 50 ahead of Jack as well. So it was that side of it. I just think that where it is just like they were so solid on the greens, and like they are. Within 5 foot, you're thinking they're going to make it.
I don't think they 3-putt. Like,
and that's
the thing is that, like, I never expected him to 3-putt.
And like I think that Pete openly will say it as well, that his pace putting is pretty poor. Like it is, and it's something that he's trying to work on. That's one of the big things that he was trying to work on with Phil Kenyon. So yeah, like honestly, like what you said there about does he go away and think about spend? I think that's the biggest thing he needs to work on. And I think that. It's difficult, you know, obviously in Manchester, it's difficult in October, November time, October to March, you know, hard to work on your putting. Whereas like these guys will live in Dubai, these guys will, you know, always going about, you know.
It's very rare that they're playing on a bad green.
So, you know, you can see how that would be a weaker part of his game. So yeah, definitely I think that if he gets that sorted.
That's a good point you make, to be fair, because you do think all of these guys that he played with on last week on Tuesday, when they have free time, they are going and practicing their golf. Yeah. And I know Pete does do it a lot now and he's playing a lot of stuff, but all of the extra bits that come with being a content creator in terms of actually having to film and make the other videos, all the other business managerial side of things that he has to deal with, there's a lot of time taken out of his schedule where he could put more time into doing it. And I think even me and you were speaking, Mick, on the way up the 9th, I think even on maybe the second round or something, like, I think I sort of said, like, if he committed to doing this, if he really went tour pro, like really tour pro.
Yeah, if we quit the
and
channel
we
for
quit
a whole
the channel,
year.
like, he would do it, and he would be a
Yeah.
good player. He would be a really good player. Like this year, I think reinforced that to me in that actually, because he's put a lot of time into it still, and it has, you know, we would say we don't see him that much. It's hard. We have to upkeep a lot more things now. And I think we've seen that with some of the, like, especially like swing quests and things like that.
Oh my God,
we don't
yeah.
have time for these things because
Yeah.
like Pete's trying to improve his game and his golf, and he's shown that this year. So I'm looking forward to next year. I think we believe he's going to do it again. We've not had like, you know, a signed on the dotted line confirmation, but we believe he's going to go again. And hopefully we'll see a slightly better Peter Finch.
Yeah, the problem will be that we were just off camera before we clicked record. We were complaining that he wasn't here for him to film the things that we need for the videos we're making, right? Jacob needs some analysis stuff. We need voiceovers. We need to film we've got a swing quest that we haven't done that we need to do. The problem being that if we want him to go to that next level, maybe we need to accept that we're not going to see him even, we're going to see him even less than we see him now. But that the outcome on the other end
Is playing in the Open
is
at
playing in the
Birkdale,
Open, because he can do it. Like, you put him up against, like, we're going to get on to talking about the Bryan Bros in a second. Like, you put him up against Wes and George, and his game didn't look out of place against, Mark and Jack, and definitely didn't look out of place against the Bryan Bros, albeit they were playing a scramble and it was fun. But, he could get around that DP World Tour course and he could shoot 3-4 under on there, and like quite comfortably. The game is frustratingly, it's so close to be. And what's even more annoying is that last year we were like, you need to knuckle down and you need to be prepared to get through regional. And he's worked so hard that regional felt like it was a little bit of a formality. And now we're thinking you need to up it again
to get through final.
Yeah, it was just interesting as well because, like, we filmed with a couple of content creators in Germany, and I don't think I've ever heard them go, "Wow, this sort of thing." And like, they noticed that there's, especially Wes and George, they were sort of saying, "All right, you are a proper player now," sort of thing. And never have we ever been around played a 9-hole vlog. And he shot like what he shot. I'm not going to give away how many under he shot, but like,
let's save that one because it's bloody good.
Doing it for kind of he just went out and did it, like on like 2 hours sleep. He's just a much better golfer. He is a really.
It's a good job he ain't here
golfer.
because he'd be hating this.
He'd be shutting it down. He would. He really
going
would.
red.
I mean, I do. I agree with you there, but there's definitely a little. He knows it.
Okay.
He does.
Okay.
Oh no. I can see it in the way.
But you need to do that though.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to have that little bit of
100%,
ego.
like, he's got he knows it. Let's put it that way.
I think it was inevitable for him to have practiced this much and this hard, and to done the kind of structured practice, and the mental stuff has been huge this year. It was inevitable for that to prove itself in his actual results, and then for those results to have an effect on how confident he is. I love the Peter Finch who steps up to the approach shot and is like, I'm going to stiff this, or who's going to like, I'm going to smash this drive. I'm just going to knock it over this court. Like that Peter Finch, that confident player that we can see on the channel and have seen, definitely at regional and glimpses of it at final, is a product of his own hard work. So he needs to accept that, the hard work that he's put in has given him those results, and that result has given him that confidence. He needs to take that confidence and turn it into more hard work, unfortunately, for next year.
Definitely, yeah.
So yes, we filmed 2 videos while we're in Germany. We filmed on the day that we arrived, we filmed with the Bryan Bros and Paul Ritke from Germany. And are we allowed to tell them what we did instead of the Pro-Am? Do you reckon we'll get in trouble?
Don't know. Not
Okay,
sure.
so we filmed a video during the Pro-Am.
Yeah.
Cool, 24 minutes.
Yeah,
Don't forget that one because it was you.
Sorry, I forgot about that.
Yeah, thank you very much. We filmed a video on the golf course at the such a moron at the DP World Tour event in Munich. Eichenride.
Reed.
I can read. I did it wrong, and I was there. And then 2 days later, we filmed with Martin Borgmeier and Cass Marie, both long drive champions. Do you know how far Martin Borgmeier hit the golf ball when he won the World Long Drive Championship in 2022?
420.
426.
Oh,
That's actually really good.
there we go. That's a long way.
A long way.
That's a lot of par fours in one.
That's 200 yards longer than me.
Yeah, that's a long old way.
Well done, sir.
So long.
So far.
460.
426.
Think about when
426.
you step on like a 420
Yes.
yard par 4, you're looking right.
You're like,
this
ooh.
is a big one.
Yeah,
I might not get there in two.
Rose that green.
Yeah, I've got to hit a really good drive, and I'm still going to have like 8 iron.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a really fun video. Again, yeah, it was a 9-holer. That golf course, by the way.
Had a vibe, didn't it? It was cool.
Yeah, it was just Munich Golf Club. It was like pine trees, beautiful course. It felt really cool. They have three loops of 9, and we just played one of them. Yeah, it was just lovely. It was really great. I really liked it.
Partly hungover as well.
Correct. Yes, we went out with. Oh my gosh, completely forgot to say this. We went drinking with the professional golf advisor. Wow, that lot are really fun.
Yeah.
We love them, and we are going to try and make it happen. We need you in the comments. We're convinced that they're cool and that a video would really, really work. We need you guys to try and convince Pete to help us make it happen, because I think it would be so funny to get Pete on there and have him play a match against James. I think it would be, and have him on the channel as well would be excellent. So get in the comments. When are you playing with a professional golf advisor? Tag Pete. Ask him on social media. Whenever you see him, ask him in person. Pester him, because we really want it to happen, because they're really fun. Right, we're going to go for a break. Oh, well, the Withington Club Champs. I came 4th.
I didn't compete because
You weren't
I'm
there.
not a member.
You're not a member. We'll talk about this very briefly. Kieran, how did your warm-up go?
Don't really want to talk
Oh,
about
no.
this. All right.
Oh, no.
Kieran is a much better golfer than I am, and would have, on his best day, had a shot at the top of the gross leaderboard if he had played some of his best golf ever. Undoubtedly would have been in the net also if you had played really, really well. Shall I tell them what you did? I'm going to use a word that you don't want to hear. Kieran hit 5 consecutive shanks in the nets at Withington before his first tee shot.
I don't think I've ever seen... What happened?
Don't know.
Just the swing just...
Don't know. But then I stiffed it on the first.
Oh, right.
I stiffed it on the first. So I was like, oh, it's great. You know,
What
we're back
the
on.
hell?
And then,
Just rust or...
don't know.
That's weird.
No idea.
Mashed your drive on 2.
Yeah, no,
Hit a great 4 iron on 3.
Yeah, thought it was going all right. And then I had a quadruple bogey on a par 3.
That won't help.
Which,
Two out of bounds through
two
the
out
back
of- which
Oh.
on the 4th.
I'm a little bit skeptical of the fact that it literally goes green, fringe, out of bounds. But I shouldn't have been there,
Yeah,
obviously.
I'm with you.
And I thought I took enough. I thought I took the club that wouldn't make it, but did it twice. Hit the same shot, literally identical in a row. Like if you put traces on and they're identical shots.
I did feel a little bit like deja vu watching
was
it bounce and go straight into the bushes. Yeah.
And then I had a quadruple bogey on the next because I
that's
hit
a par 5.
it
Par
out of
5,
bounds
yeah.
on the right. Then shanked my tee shot on 6.
Yeah.
Double bogey. And yeah, I was just like,
Wow. Yeah.
I just went,
Where's that come from?
holy wow.
Yeah.
I was like, what is just happening?
And what's wild is that I was like really looking forward to the round, because in a competition, like I quite like playing with someone who is definitely better than you, because you're like, oh, cool. Like I can kind of think about what they're doing as not obviously like not the rule, because we're not going to hit the same clubs, but we can think like, oh, if Kieran's hitting 4 iron here, maybe I should consider hitting 2 iron, because that's,
Yeah.
you know, it's a bit more control. Or if Kieran's hitting driver, then cool, I definitely should be hitting driver. And it just,
Yeah,
the wheels came off.
Yeah. But I was never annoyed. That's one thing I like. That's what I'm
Were you actually not? Because
never-
I was like a bit tiptoey around you.
No,
Because
I was never annoyed. It's just one of those things with golf. Like, you're just like, wow, like what's just happened there? Like,
especially in something like a club champs as well, because like whether or not, like in your head, you're like, I want to do well here.
Yeah.
And then once it's gone, you're like, well, I'm waiting until next year. Then I can't really.
I was a bit disappointed when he got the email saying, "Kieran, here's the tee sheet for round 2," and you look on the list and you're not on it. That one was. I'll give you. I'll give it to them there. The cheek of
That's
that.
quite cheeky. That
The cheek of that was a good one.
you're
Kieran,
not on it.
Thanks so much for renting. Here's the list of
Here's
the
your
people who
tee
did
time.
make it.
I thought that was a.
So there was what? There was like a cut. Or?
Yeah, like a 26.
Top 24 got
Top 24.
Oh,
sorry,
really?
yeah.
top 24 on net. No, top 24 on gross got through to the.
So how did you spend your Sunday instead?
Do you know? I actually loved it. I said a really productive, and lots of sport was on, so it was. I was
It was
fine.
a strategic miscut.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But,
I said to Lauren that even if I hadn't made it, I would have just told her I'd made it and gone
just
out and
gone
played
and
golf
played
again.
Well, that was kind of.
I'm in it, love. I'm in
Yeah,
it.
definitely. I've played really well.
And if you would have missed it as well, we'd have gone play golf somewhere.
Oh,
But obviously
100%.
You were still in it, and had a good second day.
Yeah, the second day was I'm nowhere near the gross. I'm not touching the gross trophy with a long stick. But the net I played really well. Day 1 I had net 69. Day 2 I had net 72. So I shot 1 under my handicap.
Very good.
For the
Was that a full
over the 2
handicaps?
days?
Full handicaps.
Yeah, so I had like a playing handicap.
Yeah, so
which was based on the
even
course.
Got a little bit less. We got a bit more.
We got a bit more, right? Yeah.
But we didn't get a Springfield where you were like 80%.
Oh
or
no,
something.
no. We need to put that vlog out.
Yeah.
We do need to put that vlog out. Vlog from Springfield coming soon, including us speaking about it on this podcast. Full circle.
Meta.
Real meta. So yeah, I had 2 really good days back to back. The second day I had a
good day, a good day, and then
so the front 9 I was what was I through 7 holes I was 1 over through 7
On the second day.
the second day.
6 pars in a row.
Wow.
I bogeyed the first and I had 6. Then I had
Nice.
5 pars,
Nice.
6 pars in a row.
Yeah.
And then I got to the 8th, which is that long par 3.
Yes. Hit it right.
I hit it left under that small tree that protects the next tee.
Yeah.
And then I had to tap it out with a 7-wood. And I was like, cool, I'll just wedge it on and 2-putt, and 5 is fine.
Okay, yeah, you're
5's
good.
fine.
Yeah.
Fatted it into the bunker. Right? Wet sand in the bunker, which you're allowed to rake and replace.
Yeah.
Raked it, replaced it, chopped it out, landed on the lip, on the fringe, on top. Bunted it on with an 8-iron and 3-putted.
Oh. So what was that?
7, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, quadruple bogey on a par 3.
Oh, that stinks.
Not ideal. And then I had another. Then I had one other one where I went real wrong. Oh, and then I had another 7.
But if you had 2 big scores in there, everything else around it must have been...
I had 3 big scores.
Okay, 3 big scores.
Yeah.
Everything
On
else
the
around
last.
it must have been...
Oh yeah,
Great.
It was pars
Any
and bogeys
birdies?
all the way. I had a birdie on the first day. I didn't have one on the second day. But then 13, which is the one with the M6 on your right. Lost my ball over the trees. Hit my second one perfectly. Chipped on, 3-putted. So that was another 7. And then on the 18th, hooked my drive into the trees. Hit my next one down the middle. Would have won longest drive. Hit it short. Chipped on, 3-putted.
Ah.
So 7, 7, 8. Without those, I would have been.
But
Pretty
first
close.
club champs.
First club champs.
Good. You did very well.
Yeah, I did very well. I did have a little question over the guy who won its handicap.
The classic...
What can you do about it?
You can't
My
do anything
question
about
is, if you're playing in a board comp, should your handicap be based on rounds that happened in the last kind of 3 months? Because I don't think his were. His last few rounds on his handicap were in the hundreds. And then he was hitting driver 300, flighting irons, chipping it right close, tapping in with a wedge. He didn't look like a 20 handicap, I'll tell you that much. And he played 10 shots better than his handicap over the course of the 2 days. So let me know in the comments whether that should have been allowed.
Well, it should have been allowed because that's his handicap, but just a bit dodge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit sketchy.
That's I'm sure every single club member in the whole world has that story.
Do you know what made it worse? Oh my God.
I met this guy as well.
On the 5th, weather up and down, raining, warm. On the 5th, nice and warm, right, the par 5. Comes out of the bushes, right? You have to walk through those bushes to get to the tee. Takes off his black jumper. He's wearing black trousers and a red Nike polo.
Oh, wow.
I did see that. Did you see his Instagram post?
I did see his Instagram post.
I met this guy on a after the Christmas do. Met him at the kebab shop, and we walked home together, and we had a right laugh.
Oh.
And it turns out it was the same guy.
Oh.
Came up to me on the
Small
first
world.
tee, and he was like, "I know your mate." I was like, "Well, yeah, lots of people know my mates."
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah, I met Kieran on a night out, and we walked home together." And I was like, "That sounds very Kieran.
Yeah.
That sounds really Kieran." And he was like, "Yeah, I don't think I've ever spoken to him since then." But
Well, we spit on a bit on social stuff.
yeah. But well done, Edward. Very proud of you. And what's worse is that we were playing in the same group on the second day.
So you just saw it all unfold.
Yeah, so
in front
I
of
was
you.
just watching him and he only had one blow-up hole. And he just played really well. So he did deserve it based on how he played, but I don't think his handicap was right. And let's hope he gets cut a lot.
Yeah, he'll probably go to like. Well, you got cut. You got cut to a 13, 14
Yeah,
handicap.
13.9.
Yeah, so he'd probably get cut to something similar.
Let's hope so. Right, we're going to go for a break. We're going to talk about tour golf, and then we're going to talk about Royal Port Rush. Port Rush. Royal Port Rush.
It's a part about Portrush.
Got you. And welcome back.
Thank you. That was a really long time.
It was.
What time are we on?
We're on 36 minutes. We're doing all right. It is very hot in here.
I'm all right. I feel quite cozy.
It is a bit hot.
It's a bit warm.
It is a bit hot.
Really? Okay.
Talk to me about how much golf you watched. We watched a little bit of DP World Tour.
You watched some live golf.
We watched it. I was just going to say we watched it while drinking champagne.
Oh, I didn't
in
do
the
that.
hospitality area and eating ice creams.
I didn't watch it like that.
But Dan Brown won.
He did.
Is that his second time winning on a DP World Tour?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is,
I believe so.
Yeah, excellent.
I mean, his anytime I see Dan Brown now, obviously, I just think of him in the Open last year.
Yeah, played very well in the Open.
Was unbelievably well last
Yeah.
year. Also, every time you say Dan Brown, I just think of the author. I'm just like, he wrote some great books and he won some golf tournaments.
And we were talking about how after we left at Dundonald, you lot watched Inferno.
Yeah. Weird. Should have put that on.
Written by Dan Brown, and then
And then he won.
Different Dan Brown goes and wins on the DP.
So there's an author and a director called Dan Brown, or just the author called Dan Brown?
Just the author. I guess.
Just the
Well,
author.
there might be a director as well.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But the author is of
It's called
Da
Dan
Vinci
Brown.
Code, and all
And
that.
if your name is Dan Brown, put it in
Well
the comments
done.
below, and
What a weekend for Dan Brown.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
We'll do something. We'll send you some.
He was 100 to 1 to win. You know, he has that like beers, bogies, boys, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
yeah.
like all of them put bets on him, and there's a TikTok of them all sat with like red wines, like clinking each other. Yeah. It's like when you bet on your mate 100 to 1 to win, and they're like, oh yeah. I don't know what they put on, but they probably won a
That's
decent.
sick.
Yeah, but imagine they do it every week.
Yeah,
you probably
yeah.
would, wouldn't you?
That's so cool.
And again, it's kind of it was also a nice story because he just had a friend that had recently passed as well, and you could see after he won, he was like very emotional about the whole situation. So well done, Dan. What was it, 22 under or 20? Like it's a high scoring event.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys walked the course, you filmed it. Like it's a course to be taken, right?
Yeah.
It's very flat. If you can hit driver accurately, it's very attackable.
Were the like the telephone wires still radioactive?
Well, yeah, they were. Yeah.
Oh my god, I thought they were bugs the entire time.
I know. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
It's the
there
one
is-
thing I think about at that course all the
Yeah,
time.
totally.
There are
Yeah,
things
yeah.
living in this. I'm holding a camera, and the microphone's on top here, and I'm like, I hope these bugs are being caught on this camera because
Yeah.
no one else is going to believe me.
Oh, it is
You
loud.
turn around and you're like, this, whatever these are, and we also got bitten a lot while we were there, and now I've only just realised that it was the power
It's the
cables.
one, yes, the power cables. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Are you sure it wasn't just you?
Just walking around the whole time.
It's very
It
consistent.
is loud though, and it's like it must be a bit, kind of a bit off-putting if you because it's over like a couple of tee shots
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it's
It's that like
really
sort
loud.
of back end. Let's say back end of the course, like sort of 5, 6.
Yeah,
and then
5, 6,
and then when you come
7.
11, I think when you sort of get to 10, 11.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's also the two tee shots that play across each other.
Oh yeah,
That it's like there's one right above your head.
Yeah,
Yes.
Eight's
Yeah.
the par 3, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very loud.
Yeah. No, it's cool though. And then, yeah, obviously seeing Wes and George, it was cool to walk around with them, and it was cool to see what they're like in tournament mode. I think they're kind of quite different.
Did you feel that? Like,
yeah, definitely. Like George is like focused and like George go from the practice round. George is focused, like, you know, trying to lock in all this sort of stuff. Like while we were playing with him, looking at his GC quad numbers, looking at all this sort of stuff.
Chipping to different areas, you know, working out where the pin's going to be. His caddy's like writing numbers down.
Whereas, and then in tournament day, his routine looks a little bit rushed. And then you get to Wes. Wes is like goofing around with Pete and Paul, taking the mick out of George, you know, just not care in the world. And then you get to tournament day and he's just locked.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the guy's just locked in.
I'd like to do a analysis of the time it takes him to hit a golf ball during the Pro-Am round and the time it takes him to hit a golf ball during the tournament. We've seen Wes on YouTube lots, which is cool because it means we get to watch someone who's bloody good do it. But the two Weses that you saw on Wednesday and on Thursday,
Just different people.
just different, just so different. On Wednesday, he stands up to the ball, he looks where he's going, one little tap on the ground, smashes it.
Yeah.
And on Thursday, when we watch him walking around, you know, obviously workout yardage, workout wind, stand to the ball, the club goes down, looks up, 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 pauses. He does the thing with his head where his head goes back first and then he takes his swing. And you're like, oh, he's really trying, which it felt like he just had the ability to turn it on.
Just
which
a switch,
Yeah. I guess there's like I think it's sort of twofold the way you could look at that, because obviously it's like freed up and not thinking about tournament golf. He just gets over a ball and hits it, and it's probably still great. Yet in tournament conditions, he has that, you know, that everyone knows that kind of when you sort of over the ball and you get that kind of trigger or that feeling where you feel like you're ready to go. And it just takes like a little bit longer to happen, maybe for him or something like that. But obviously, he still made the cut and played very well.
Yeah.
It's not like he's, you know, we're not talking about a guy who shot 10 under and then 37 over one week, you know. That's interesting to see. And George is, I suppose, because like he's very, very, you know, new and in his infancy of playing in any tour event, whether it's the PGA Tour event he played for the Myrtle Beach and then the Barracuda one. Butterfield, sorry, in Bermuda. And then obviously Wes is a PGA Tour winner, so he's warmed up a lot of times. So I'm sure he's got a process that he goes through to do that. But that's interesting to actually hear the kind of change, because you will obviously just know them as who they are as the entertainers rather than the professionals. So it's quite interesting to see that in first person.
Yeah, like watching them on back-to-back days was really interesting because you're used to it after the 18 holes you've played, and then the next day you get there and you're right. I think George looked a bit like he was, like maybe the pressure was getting to him, or he was trying to play too quickly or whatever it was, but he just didn't look as smooth and loose as he'd had the day before.
Yeah.
There were a couple of social clips where he said he was very nervous.
Which I think obviously like
completely
you would be.
Yeah,
it's understandable. And then Wes was the other way, where I think the pressure of the tournament helps him a little bit, because it's, you know, it just fuels the killer instinct that he has to go out and do what he did, which was, you know, make the cut and play really well.
Now, I'll have a different perspective on the golf that happened this weekend, because obviously you were there.
Yeah.
And I imagine, did you walk a few holes with those guys? Like, were you there quite a lot?
Yeah.
I didn't see much of them.
Oh.
I watched it on the telly. I didn't see a lot. That's all I can say. I didn't really know what was going on.
There was a little bit of talk on the internet about Wes particularly. Obviously, George didn't make the cut. Wes did, and at one point was, you know, 5th or 6th on the leaderboard. Never really kind of in contention to win the thing, I don't think. But should the DP World Tour have shown more of Wes? Wasn't that the kind of the point of inviting them, was to get more eyes on the event? So it's odd that you said they didn't show much of them.
Yeah.
Because
didn't see a lot.
Wouldn't that be the goal, to get more eyes on them?
Absolutely, yeah. You would have thought so. I think with George, I think I saw his approach into one. I saw his 2-putt on one, and then I saw every birdie putt after that, and that's all. I don't think I saw another shot. With Wes, I didn't see it. I don't think I saw a tee shot. I don't think I saw an approach. I think I saw a couple of putts for birdie. Maybe him tapping in on the last for a birdie, something like that, and that was it. So that's all I got. The commentators spoke about them a little bit. There was sort of like comments about it, and the Bryan Bros are here doing this, that, and the other. But by no means was it, the like John Parry. I saw basically John Parry's full 18 holes, and no disrespect to John Parry, he's won on the tour this year, good player. But as a broadcaster, as someone thinking who you're going to get eyes on, Wes and George and showing them is the way to do it. And you would have thought that's why they invited them to do it.
It was just kind of weird when we were kind of on the grounds of it. There was 2 groups that had clearly a hell of a lot of following behind it, and it was the German group, which had Martin Keimer, Marcel Siem, and not a German guy, but it was another guy.
It was Nikolai van Delsinghausen.
Is that him?
Him.
Him. So
I'm glad you got his name right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nicholas, or whoever you are.
So that had a massive following, and then the other groups that had a following was obviously Wes and George. And it shows what these guys bring. They got the ticket sales in, and if you can't go to Germany, the one thing that you want to do is you want to see them on the TV, and that wasn't fulfilled, which is such a weird thing. But
I think the times you may even be conflating the amount you've seen them, Jacob, because I think lots of it did get shown on social.
Yeah.
I think there was much more on social than there was on TV. So
the only thing I saw was Wes making the putt to make the cut.
Yes.
That's all I've seen of Wes, and then a few shots of George. But it's interesting. It's interesting. I definitely think there is definitely a bridge as well of the world and the TV broadcast and the DP World Tour and all this PGA Tour isn't quite ready to let go and do that. Do you know what I mean? That takes quite a commitment to, right, we're not going to show Martin Keimer, Major Tour winner, Ryder Cup legend. We're not going to look at all these other players that have obviously established themselves in the game and people will want to watch. Instead, let's just go, all hell's deep, and let's just show all of Wes, all of George, let's see what happens.
Let the featured group, put them in the same group, and then let that be the featured group that you show on the broadcast, because that really is how to get everyone watching.
But I can also understand why the DP World Tour and like Sky must have an element of like, really, we're going to show these guys shots?
Yeah,
like
these two lemons have got an invite.
They have to, for sure. They have to keep up the like. This is a professional golf tournament, and if the guy who's 17 under par is playing really well, but we're showing the guy who's 2 under. But the mad thing is that more people will be wanting to watch the 2 under golf than the 17 under.
All respect to Dan Brown and Jordan Smith, who also had a great tournament, who we had breakfast with. I got a piece of fluff off his back for him while he was making a coffee. I said, Jordan, I had to tell you this, but there's a large piece of fluff on your back. And he said, oh, would you get it? And I was like, oh, no. Have a good day.
It's embarrassing.
Don't think he remembered me.
Don't feel too torn up about it.
Anyway, they both had a great tournament. And, both great golfers, very good at what they do. But really, if you want almost 1 million guaranteed people to come and watch your event and to be interested in the stuff you're putting out on social, you got to show the people who have already got the giant followings. There should be they need to have like a social committee who argue in favor of getting these people as much screen time as possible next time.
It's just making that jump and that step.
Someone's got to be brave enough to say, exactly. I think we do it.
They needed their red button feature, didn't they? They needed
they definitely did.
Like if you want to just go and watch them, here's your stream. Go and watch it. There you go. You can cut in and out.
Just stick it full of adverts if you want. Don't worry about that.
Because people will do it. They'll go watch it.
Yeah, they will.
And you can then show your... Sorry, John. I can keep thinking John Parry every time. You can show your John Parrys of the world.
Yeah. Jacob hates Parry.
He's a good player.
Do you think... the other thing, talking about how Pete's played this year, do you think Pete could have...
Yeah, there's definitely...
I said this.
Think Pete could have done it?
Yeah.
But then also, Pete, we had a chat to Pete about this, and I'm probably speak on behalf of him. He did say to us that, like, I can see I'm only now starting to do it. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, maybe next year, maybe a few invites on the PGA Tour or anything like that.
Yeah,
might be pretty cool.
If you run a DP World Tour event or a PGA Tour event and want to invite Peter Finch, and you want someone guaranteed to shoot around 3 over.
I think it'd be better than that. But, I thought the same thing. I was sat there going,
he could
should
do
be playing in this.
Yeah, he could do
He
this.
should be playing in this.
Even Pete said that I've only started doing this now.
Sure, yeah, it's true.
So,
he's got to get some reps and get.
So maybe next year. Hey.
I would love to see it.
Maybe for the
so cool.
Scottish Open this week. Should we get him in? Genesis, do you want to?
Oh,
BMW might not like that.
Yeah,
of course
sorry,
he loves.
I'm sorry, the ultimate driving machine will not be getting himself.
Just for a week.
Yeah.
We'll put the ultimate driving machine away.
No, we cannot. We cannot. Pete is the ultimate driving machine. Yes, the Scottish Open is this week, which has become, over the last few years, one of my favourite non-major tournaments.
It's a sneaky good event.
Because it's like the first time, really, of the year that we're seeing these players play links golf, which is so cool. And it's like a kind of good precursor for the Open normally.
Yeah.
Now, this year we're at the Renaissance Club.
Correct.
Where we have been.
We have.
And we filmed with Matty Fry. That course and Portrush are very, very different.
I mean, yeah. They're in different countries.
They are.
That's a start.
They are in different countries.
They are both links courses, though. That's good.
That is.
Portrush is a bit flatter at Renaissance, I will say.
That's my main point.
A little bit flatter.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised about, especially the first tee at Portrush. I've forgotten a lot about that event. I don't know why. Yeah. But that first tee and that first hole at Portrush is the most, like, to me, really unlinksy in the way it just, like, rises up. It was bizarre, but it's a cool hole. I like it.
Yeah.
No, the Scottish Open I'm excited for because, like I say, it's a co-sanctioned event as well, so it's basically a PGA Tour event. And it's the kind of... I like seeing the Americans come on and play it and seeing what they're like on links turf. My only concern... I need to check this. I know Thagala did really well last year. So that's one of my things. I was like, if he plays links golf this year, he's going to be fine for my team. I see he hasn't played the last 2 majors, so I don't know where he is.
Good
so
Lord.
hopefully he'll just appear at the Scottish Open. But I am definitely looking forward to watching it. And like, as you say, final test before final major of the year, which I'm very, very excited for. And I love the fact as well that when you have been to a golf course,
Yeah, so that's the other thing.
so you know what's coming. So when someone stood on the 7th tee, you have that perception of like, oh, that's what that is. And that's I love having that element of what, and that's made me even more excited.
Didn't you two both film that Record Breakers?
Renaissance.
Yeah. So you filmed it and I edited it.
Yeah.
So between the three of us, we should have an intimate knowledge of that golf course.
Yeah.
What is the tiny par 3 next to the clubhouse?
The 10th, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one where in the background is the swimming pool or the hot tub.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember back to the video and the edit.
It's not the 10th. It's not the 10th. It's not the 10th. It's the
it's later than that.
6th, 7th. Because the 10th is that par 4, and then you've got the halfway the par 4 that's right by the...
Yes.
I think it's on the front 9, so I'm going to...
Where'd you go? You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
6.
and then I think it's 6.
6, yeah.
We'll go with 6.
Yeah, I think it's 6, final answer, yeah. Yeah, because the 9th is the one down at the bottom. Par 4.
Yes.
Drivable.
Absolutely.
Right by the front.
Yeah.
Anyway, that par 3. Is that going to be the postage stamp style test that we are hoping for when it comes to Linksy Boy Golf? And we're going to get on to talking a little bit about Portrush. Is Portrush's signature par 3, which is 16, is like 240 yards long.
Off the longest backs,
right at the back,
like a ridge, sort of
right at the back. You can't run it up.
No. You got to fly it there.
You can't. you got to fly it.
You got to get it there. It's exposed as well because it's high.
The only joy being that behind it there is a grandstand. which is a very tour pro thing to do.
Hit driver.
Mash it into the stand. But that 6th is a very, very cool, very short, very testy par 3. I can't wait to see that. And I also can't wait to see the one where they have to hit it over the wall. Is that 18?
Yeah. But it's like...
you drive it from over the road?
It's there. The wall's there.
You don't have to. You're not contesting with the wall.
Unless you... It's more the second shot. If you hit a bad drive or depending on what club you hit, you can... There is the one that's sort of in the rough that comes across, but it doesn't go all the way. And
there's another par 3. The reason it was so bad is because Pete was using those Itabori irons for like the last time. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And one of the clips is Matt Fryer saying, "You're not good enough for them." And we were all like, "I know, it has been a tough year." And there's that other par 3 which plays down towards a wall.
Yes. That's on the back.
What are we talking about here? Portrush or
he's still on the Renaissance. I know.
I'm comparing, like in my brain, I'm comparing the par 3s because the par 3s at Portrush are really long.
It's at the back of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a downhilly boy.
On the left.
Okay, well, listen, we're looking forward to the Scottish Open. I think it's a Bobby Mack show, hopefully. Fleetwood obviously likes the Scottish Open as well, so let's have a little bit of Fleets and Gang. Or is Rory going to turn up?
Is Rory in this event?
Who bloody knows? And then we've only got 1 week until the Open. Where that actually might be the next time we see Peter Finch is on TV.
Hey,
I know that guy.
God. Where's my voiceover? So
just recording him saying it like, "Pete, on the channel, can you say this line?" And you're just
can you please say "Welcome to Portrush" so that I can cut it in?
Cut the audio from the live stream.
Just the words are together now.
Yeah,
so Rory McIlroy is absolutely striking on the range. Yes, the 13th hole at final qualifying.
Good lord. This isn't we're not going to preview the Flaming Tournament. We'll do that next week. Hopefully with an input from Peter Finch, having just played it. Our video that we shot at Portrush is coming out the week of the tournament. So be ready for that. But that trip to Ireland was very fun. We won't talk very much about the Open itself because we'll save that for next week. But me, Jacob and Sam went over with Pete to film that round, and that trip was a whirlwind.
As long as this podcast, basically an hour. It felt so quick.
Yeah, we flew in on the early morning flight. Drove to the course, played the course, drove back to, stayed over.
Got up early and
flew home.
Yeah.
So it was a very whirlwind trip. Things we learned. Let's go down.
Break down from Portrush. Go.
These are the things that we learned. Peter Finch cannot drive a manual car.
No, he has had the experience of the ultimate driving machine, obviously.
Yeah.
But as an automatic, which everything is automatic. It parallel parks for you. It puts the handbrake on for you. It turns the wheel if you want it. It keeps you in the lane. Everything you want, it does. And he then has to go in control of a vehicle again, and he can't do it.
Yes, it was a very testy...
that poor Kia.
Was he just grinding it?
Grinding it. Gung, gung, gung.
Yeah, it was bad.
We're getting kicked back in the back of the car. Find the gear, Pete.
Yeah, it was...
I think every time we came to stop somewhere as well, he would stop the car, and then he would open the door. He's like, "Pete, the car is still moving. We are rolling in a parking spot." You do have to put the handbrake on.
Yeah, it was...
Sorry.
What was that on?
58.
He is actually an idiot.
He is a moron. However, that was very interesting watching Pete trying to drive the car. I'm going to try and orchestrate a deal with that car hire company. Don't say their name.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because currently other car hire companies are available.
Okay.
They may not be once we've negotiated that deal, because I would love that deal to happen. I'll talk to you afterwards.
He just wants a hire car deal.
I want to deal with a hire car company. That'd be sick. Jacob, how much should a Chinese meal cost?
A meal? A succulent Chinese meal? Not as much as it does in Ireland. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I've had about 3 Chineses in Ireland. I was thinking about, and every single one of them has been really, really expensive.
How much was it?
For the four of us.
Let's break it down very quickly.
Okay.
By how much a main meal should cost.
Well, yeah.
Right. Okay. So say you're just getting, which is how they do it in said restaurant that we will not name. If you're just getting the meat and sauce and veg, right? So you're not getting noodles, you're not getting rice. How much would you pay for that meat and sauce and veg?
That should cost in a takeaway Chinese. You're probably looking.
We were sitting down. We were sitting down inside at a table.
Sit down. I'll say a 10.
Okay, so
10 or 9.
Okay,
9
so
or 10.
I had the sweet and sour chicken.
Yeah.
23.5 quid.
That's what I mean.
Without rice.
The chow mein was £22. That's
Wait,
my point.
Where was this?
It's
where
in
were
Port
you?
Rush.
In Port
Rush.
Rush. Right, so touristy town. Hide the prices.
Bumping up the prices.
Yeah.
Those were some old menus. They hadn't reprinted them recently.
Right. Okay.
It was so it was four of us. So we each had, as Mick said, a meat thing of sauce, whatever combination, and then we each had a rice as well, I think, to go with it. You had some bao buns to start. Sam had some bao buns to start.
You split
we
nachos.
split nachos.
Way too much coriander.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Whoa, nachos in the Chinese.
Honestly, it was the weirdest place.
And a normal amount of coriander would have been the coriander that they accidentally dropped while they were putting this amount
what
on
happened,
the
right? What
wrapper.
happened, right? Now, the only thing that happened was the plate of nachos was there ready to get taken out, and one of the chefs came over and just popped the bag of coriander, and the coriander just fell on our nachos. That's how much coriander was on there.
It was like they were like, it's more than one portion.
Yeah.
But it's not quite enough for 2 portions. Just put it all on there.
Or it was, this is the final order of the night. This coriander needs to get used.
Yeah, give it to
It's
them.
going out.
Shove it on, yeah.
Yeah, if you want your mouth to taste like soap, eat these nachos.
I hate coriander so much.
It was
hate
so
it.
much of it.
I hate it.
Apparently that's genetic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Lauren has it as well. Whereas I really
I'm not related to her.
I really. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah.
I don't do
I
it.
kind of like. I like coriander.
I like coriander,
Yeah, I like
but
coriander.
Lauren eats coriander and it tastes like dish soap.
Yeah, that's what it's like for me.
Yeah, so you have whatever that gene is.
in the bud, the taste bud.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what it is.
Yes, so break it down. We had 2 beers each.
Yep.
Sam had a cider.
Half of one.
Half a cider.
Two sips.
Sam doesn't drink, so that tells you how long that day on Port Rush was.
Yeah.
Wait. Sorry, no, carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, so
sorry.
Sam got a cider. We had 2 beers each, us and Pete. And then we had the starters. And then we had a main meat and a rice/noodles each, coming up to a total of £180.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Pete.
Could you
Yeah.
imagine the look on his face?
We got to the door and I looked at the menu and we were looking at it and I saw the £22 chicken chow mein and I looked at him and I was like, yeah, we're not going in here. We can't be. And he was like, no, it's all right. We'll go in. So I was like, he had a chance. He could have pulled out. He had his chance, but he didn't. And he paid £180 for the privilege.
It was a tough one.
It was.
It was. Well, I thought you were about to say, like, you were having drinks. I thought you had your drink in this Chinese, the first drink you've ever had.
Absolutely not.
We stopped him from having it.
It
there.
was on offer, and I believe you had.
I did, yeah. I had
You
one.
had Guinness.
Yeah, I had 2, yeah.
You had a Guinness there, but I had been told that the Harbour Bar just over the road was the place
to go.
that Lowry went to celebrate his win in 2019.
So you went Chinese, then to this place.
Yes.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
We went there just so that I could, basically just so that I could have my first ever Guinness.
I've never been more bloated in my life. That Chinese with 2 Guinnesses, I think I couldn't breathe. I was like, that final Guinness, I was like, nope.
Yeah, it was a tough ask.
It was.
But in there, the whole pub is filled with, signed Lowry shoes, got golf bags, flags.
It was kind of like their Dunvegan, wasn't it?
It was.
That was sort of
it was like the Dunvegan. In fact, what we should do is we should take a Peter Finch photo and just plop it up somewhere. Like, they're never going to notice.
He'll be going back, so he'll have a chance to do it.
Definitely.
But
Anyway,
that's where you had your first Guinness.
That's where I had my first Guinness. And yes, I'm 34 years old. I had never had a Guinness before. When I joined this job 3 years ago, this lot all drink Guinness quite regularly. And I said that I wanted to have my first one in Ireland. And then there were 3 island trips that I didn't get to go on. So I wasn't able to have one then. But this was the first one I did get to go on. I had my first Guinness and it tasted like chocolate and dirt.
You practice.
I agree.
Yeah.
Practice.
It tasted a little bit like soil at a Cadbury's factory. But I can also understand how, if you did, you know, not force yourself, but, you know, if you had it more regularly, I can understand the feeling of then going somewhere and be like, oh, I could just do a Guinness.
That's honestly, that's the only way I did it.
Yeah.
The first time we went over, or at least on for a trip maybe, which was when we went to Enniscrone.
Mm-hmm.
We got to Enniscrone and
That was your first one, wasn't it?
I think that was my first.
yeah.
That was my first Guinness, and it was the exact same thing. We got in there. They were just. We had some. We had like I think we had a couple, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And the first one was the exact same experience. I was like, I could drink this, but I'm not like enamored by it. I don't love it.
Yeah.
But then by the 3rd or 4th, you're like, yeah, I'm in this now.
Yeah,
I'm converted.
But the problem being that when we went to go and have my first Guinness, we had already had Chinese.
Yeah, we weren't
beers.
sessioning. No.
If we had had a lighter dinner,
Yeah.
and maybe not paid 180 quid for it,
Yeah.
then that session would have been much
few more.
longer.
Yeah.
But it only lasted one, and then we went back to our very weird Airbnb, and then we flew home the next day. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about the golf course, though. We'll very briefly get into it before we have the preview next week.
Oh, I loved it. It's different. I think because we've gone off the back of the last 2 years where you've got Royal Liverpool, which infamously you can see every
very flat.
every golf flag from the first tee. Mm-hmm. Was that Carter?
Carter, you stand at the front on the putting green, you can see 18 flags.
Real flat. Troon, pretty flat until you kind of get to the back part of the course where there's a few more drops and stuff, but most of the time pretty flat.
Yeah.
Portrush, completely different. So many elevation changes, so many rises up to greens. It was quite a tough walk actually, like, you know, up and down all day. So I think that plays into the 4 days that we're going to see soon. But as a spectacle, as a golf course, it was incredible. And there's some great golf holes, some really good holes.
That's why they kind of say that that's like the best. Quite a lot of people will say that's the best open venue, I think.
Yeah.
So it's up there with Pete's favourite, isn't it? Pete's favourite?
Well, he loves Troon.
Yeah, he
Troon's
does
his
love
favourite.
Yeah.
It's Bobby McIntyre's, I can tell you that.
Oh, is
Because we
it?
asked him that when we filmed with him a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
Oh, did
he? Yeah, he said this is his favourite, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
But yeah, the golf course was. I think the difference that I noted was that it was much greener. I think,
You're in Ireland, mate. It's so wet.
They water it with Guinness. Like that. I think the definitely at St Andrews, 3 opens ago, really burnt out.
Yeah.
Royal Liverpool, pretty dry most of the time. One practice day it rained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It rained on one of the days.
Actually, it did rain
I
on
think
one
on
of
the
days.
last day it rained.
Yeah.
But that felt quite dry, like quite burnt out. The only time I've been to Birkdale,
Yeah. Burnt out.
really
that was
burnt out.
Yeah.
And then this one felt like
Just lush,
still
isn't it?
linksy,
It's just,
but it felt like much greener and much
Yeah.
kind of like much more alive than the
That's because
previous ones had.
rain 250 days of the year. 300 days of the year, maybe.
Yeah. And we walked around with a member who very kindly not only guided Pete around the course, but also lent him a trolley because we couldn't fly Pete's Stewart out.
Oh,
so
right.
Stewart found us this lovely gentleman Desmond, who had a trolley for Pete. So he walked around with us, which was great. And the course was a tough walk. I was very tired by the end. But it's going to be a flaming good test.
yeah. Like I say, we'll
really
next
hard.
week we'll get into the nitty gritty of it all.
We'll do a deep
Yeah,
dive.
I think I'll just leave you guys with this. Do you think Shane Lowry can do it again at Portrush?
I don't see why not. I like it. We saw him whilst we were there.
I was going to say we saw him there.
He's played the downhill par 3, the 14th or something, a lot.
Yeah,
Because he played, it was a HSBC Patrons Day, and he played the hole with every single group that went through. So if he doesn't get his yardages right on that hole, then he's got something wrong.
That's definitely a birdie hole.
That's a
for
birdie
him.
hole.
Yeah.
So that's at least one.
Yeah, so we watched him play it probably about 5 or 6 times while we waited to play it ourselves, and he stiffed it every single time.
He's a good golfer.
He
He's
does
a good
golf it
golfer.
well.
I like him. I think I love a narrative. I'm always a sucker for a narrative.
you
And
like a story.
I think especially when you have, people going back to, I know it's Northern Ireland, but Ireland as a whole going back to a country that they are going to be very familiar with playing golf on. and being a previous winner, it just makes sense. They had that lovely memorial in Portrush. The thing is like...
Memorial?
Yeah, but it was like a...
Mural.
Okay.
A memorial would denote he's dead.
Why? It could be a memorial to his win.
Memorial is like memory of, I guess. So
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know what the official definition of a memorial is.
Memorial still alive.
Worst English.
A living memorial is a tribute to someone who has passed away, often involving planting a tree, garden, or other natural element.
Well, he ain't dead.
No,
Because I saw him
he's-
take a picture with it, so... No?
Yeah.
No, I don't think.
Okay, we'll go with mural. then.
Mural, yeah. Well, it definitely
Okay,
was a
there was a
mural.
lovely mural in Portrush with him holding his trophy. Just good vibes, though, innit? It's just like you see people going back to a golf course where they've won on, and there's usually a good run of them coming back and performing pretty well, especially when he's actually played really well this year. You know, he's had good form.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily. He's probably had a lot of could-ofs and should-have won on the PGA Tour this year. But his game is definitely in the right place for it. And as you say, like, you know, it's a course that he's going to know very, very well.
So in that final group, going down 18, who is playing in that final group with Shane Lowry?
Rory McIlroy.
Yeah. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
That would be unreal.
That would be really good.
And
That'd be a hell of a
Justin
final day.
Rose. Just those three. I think those three that'd be sick.
Okay, so we'll get into this in much more detail next week, but I need the top four to be Lowry, Rose, Oberg,
You need a 1, 2, 3,
and
4.
Cantlay to be the top four.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your boy's filling the cupboard.
I would actually like to know if that math works out or not, or if you are genuinely just effed.
Should I just fill the cupboard before the
Yeah.
tournament, knowing very well that that's definitely not going to happen?
So as soon as Friday's done and one of them's missed the cut, we'll just come in Monday
If
morning.
any of my players don't finish in the top 10, I have got zero chance.
Yeah, US Open and PGA were rough for you.
Yeah, real bad. I picked too many Linksy boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh well.
it was all for next week. It was all for
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh god, yeah, not good.
right. We've
Really
got some
not
editing
good.
to do, haven't we?
We've got so much work to do.
We should probably go and do some.
Let's go and do it. Then the next podcast you see will be the preview episode for Royal Portrush, featuring almost definitely the opinions of Peter Finch, having played the golf course and then going there. So we will see you then.
Yeah, sounds good.
That's it. Enjoy the Scottish Open.
Maybe we'll get some on the ground stuff from him because he'll be there, won't he? So
Yeah.
maybe we'll get some bits.
Reporting live.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate, I hope the weather's good. And I hope he doesn't stay in that same Airbnb. And if he goes out for a Chinese, make smarter choices.
Chinese are going to make a lot of money.
He already did.
They already did. It's already making money. It's going to make a lot of money.
Do you know what's mad? Wasn't even busy in there. We were the only people. It's like they gave us. It's like they gave us the not busy menu. Like when they're not busy, like we need to
Ramp up the
recoup.
prices.
Yeah, here's everything doubled. Yes, we will see you next week where we will be previewing the Open Championship 2025 at Royal Portrush. Jacob will be telling us who's winning the tournament.
Hopefully.
We will be talking about walking around the course. Kieran will be cheering on the Irish, hoping for a repeat Irish victory. And Peter Finch will be reporting live from the golf course.
Sounds good.
Let's go and edit our videos.
See ya.
Bye, everyone.